Hi everyone and welcome to Club 3 episode 37 of Rolling in the Isles, an FM20 British Isles Journeyman series with me, the United City FM. Welcome along. So the January form has been a little bit mixed, but there's a pattern beginning to develop that I want to talk to you slightly about. It's an odd one, it might just be in my head, but we've had some pretty good results against some of the bigger sides in this division in this season. But what I'm noting is that all of those better results against the big sides are coming up against teams in the sort of the higher half, the northern half of the country. So for example, if you look at the results that we've had against Manchester City, we got a 0-0 draw against United, 1-1 draw against Liverpool. We got a 0-0 draw against Man City again. We got a 0-0 draw. And those are really great results for us. And then you look at the London clubs specifically, and I'm including Watford in this as a London club they are, but I just want to point them out as our real bogey side this season. They knocked us out of the League Cup early in the season, and since then they've also got a draw against us in the Premier League at this point in December, and then in January they beat us 2-0 away from home. We were away from home, should I say, and they beat us 2-0, and they've been a real problem side for us. But looking at the other teams from the London area, you've got the likes of Chelsea beat us 3-1, Arsenal beat us 1-0, Tottenham beat us 3-0. Where's the next one? Arsenal, we drew with 1-1 in the FA Cup in the last episode, if you remember. Unfortunately, we then went away from home in the replay and we got beat 3-1 again. And you can see that there's a real divide between the North clubs and the London clubs that we're having to play. I don't know whether it means anything. I don't know whether it's just me making it up. But it seems to be a really interesting kind of beginning of a situation that's going on between the north and the south of the country. I just thought I'd bring that to your attention. Have you ever had anything like that? Have you had bogey sides in your divisions that you just can't beat, like we do seem to have with Watford? I mean, they're really struggling. If we go to the competition page, you can see they are right down in the 16th position at the moment, and have spent a lot of the time in the relegation zone, yet we can't seem to beat them, which is a really bizarre situation for a club that is on the rise like we are and is doing so well. But anyway, just a couple of thoughts. Let me know what you think. If you had anything similar in your saves, always interested to hear what's going in your ones. Today we begin February with a game against Everton. We did a little bit of transfer business, but not a lot in the end. We put a number of irons in fires and not many of them came about, unfortunately. A couple of the bigger guys came in and stole a couple of the players that I was really hoping to get in the January transfer window. And we couldn't compete once that they had. And it wasn't just about for this season, it was about players coming up for their contracts in next summer, and that I was trying to get in on free transfers for next season, and it just didn't quite work out. There were a couple of those, unfortunately. You can see the finances have improved though of the club over the transfer window. That's because we made a sale and we bought in a loan player to replace him. So if we go and have a look at the sale, and it was, in the end, it was Eric Scott. He just never quite settled into the club. I thought he was going to be better than he was, and I think some of his mental attributes are the things that let him down, and he demonstrated that in the last month or so of being at the club, where he was just very moany about the situation that he found himself in. But he wasn't performing well enough for me. You can see in his career stats, he was there for a season and a bit for us. It wasn't even that, was it really? But he played a total of 15 games, and he just never did anything to warrant a place in the first team. So in the end, we had to get rid of him, and we did. So he moved on for a fee of 11 million, which is pretty good, rising to 13.75 with a couple of bits and pieces there. So what we've gone and done is we've gone and loaned in a guy, Isaac Mbenza. He's 31 years old, Belgium. You can see that he's been around a little bit, played at the likes of Werder Bremen, Dusseldorf, Montpellier, Huddersfield and the like. And what we've had to do is reshape slightly. I could not find a decent right-sided option to come in and take this position from Scott. But what I realised that I've got in my squad already is I've got the likes of Guive, who can play down both sides and quite well down both sides. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring in Mbenza as our left-sided cover for Loku Doku down the left-hand side, and we'll switch Guivet over to the right-hand side as cover for Knoll. And, depending on what's going on in the game, if we're bringing a particular wide man on for a replacement, it might just be Guivet all the way through, and Benza might not see too much action. But if we have to replace both of them at any point or rotate them around, then Benza comes in down that left-hand side on the Loku-Doku replacement. And that's just because I couldn't find a good wide right replacement in the transfer market that was around for January. Hopefully in the summer we can realign some of that again and find a couple of better options. But that's all that we did in the January transfer window. As I say, I had a few other irons in fires that didn't quite work out. That happens. But the club finances are better for it. We got a problem player out the door. We brought another guy in that's going to be solid for us, I think, as the season moves forward. So I think overall it wasn't too bad. So that's it for the January transfer window. That's come and gone. We're now at the beginning of February. We get Everton today. And if we look at the table, we'll find Everton. Where are Everton? They're struggling. They're right down 19th in the table. Really struggling this season. They're still attached to all of the teams directly above them. It's quite a close-knit group down in that relegation zone at the moment, other than Huddersfield, who are struggling. So Everton are going to be a really challenging side. And you can see, again, our mixed form, talking about Huddersfield, in January, the last team that we played were Huddersfield, and we only managed a 1-1 draw against them. So you can see January was very mixed. We lost that FA Cup tie against Arsenal. We lost to Watford, who I don't know how they manage it. We gained a couple of wins, one against Wolves, one against Palace. So it was a mixed bag. It leaves us sitting in 8th position in the Premier League, which is still incredible for this point in the season, having already played 25 games. So I'm really delighted by that. Everton today, as I say, in 19th, maybe a bit misleading. They're still a decent side with a few decent players in there, so they're going to be a difficult club to play. We're away from home, which doesn't help us also. But overall, I would hopefully expect that, in the next couple of games that we have coming up against the likes of Everton and Sheffield United, we've got to pick up a few points, because the games immediately after that are the big run that we've been sort of concerned about for a little while, which is Tottenham, Liverpool, Leicester, Arsenal, Man United, Chelsea, all in a row in the Premier League. So we have to pick up the points today if we can. So let's see what the team selection is like. So actually it's not too bad. We've got everybody's fit, which is good. So we've got a full team to be able to choose from. So we're going to put the new guy on the bench, and he'll get an opportunity off the bench potentially. So pretty much the first 11 are out on the pitch today. So it's Bazunu in goal, with Bogle at right back, Target at left back, Story and Harwood-Bellis in central defence, with Joku, Vera and Martinez in central midfield, Knoll on the right, Loku-Doku on the left and Ida up top, with a bench of Burns, Matheson, May, Silas, Guivet, Mbenza and Monterese. So let's get into today's game and see what happens. So we've just given the players a bit of a morale boost, told them to go out there and impress us with their performance, put the onus on them to have a good positive game against Everton away from home. And I think, there's no doubting that we can manage it. If we play to our best abilities, then we can do very well. Martinez on an early free kick in the 4th minute to the far post, and we take a very early lead from Harwood-Bellis on that far post. A lovely delivery from Martinez right the way across the penalty box, found the head of Harwood-Bellis, and he puts it home very comfortably at that back post. Just drops off his marker slightly, and a really good header into that top corner in the far post, and we take a very early lead, and that's really encouraging, and it enables us to work from something. We could go defensive at this point, but I feel it's very early to sort of try and sit on the game. I don't think we need to just yet. I think we'll try and control the game as much as we can. You can see that possession-wise is fairly even, so we're not, at 70% possession or anything in terms of our control possession style, but we're doing enough. And we've had a few shots at goal for an away side, which is positive as well. So I think overall, it's not gone too badly. And again, we've swept through the first half with absolutely no highlights at all, other than that opening one where we got our goal. And for us, that's very positive in terms of a team performance away from home. It enables us to build on something into the second half. So I'm very happy about that. It's just a little bit dull to watch occasionally, isn't it? But There we go. Tell the boys that they did well and their efforts were excellent. That was the advice from my assistant manager. I'm going to let him do that, which is going to build up their confidence even more. And we're going to come straight back out into the second half. Everybody's still fit enough to continue. A couple of slightly lower conditioning ratings there that we'll have to pay attention to in the second half, maybe. And it's Everton early in the second half. Are they going to do to us what we did to them in the first half? We partially clear the ball, but they come back at us again down that right hand side for them. Eventually get to the byline and put it across, and almost similar to what we did to them in the first half, they've done to us in the second half. Good cross comes in from that right hand side, and an oncoming player on that far side gets a decent header away from his marker and powers the ball in the back of the net, and we go 1-1 early in the second half. That was a really good cross, but I'm not sure what our defenders were quite doing at that back post. Disappointing, maybe. Can we come straight back at them? Opportunity down the right hand side from a throw in. Eventually the cross comes in, and a good tip over by the goalkeeper. Oh no, it wasn't a tip over. It hit the crossbar and went over, so we were very close. And Everton get a chance to build something up from the back. They do quite quickly, go over the top quite quickly, but we've managed to push him slightly wide and then get a little bit fortunate in where he put the ball in the penalty box for us to clear it. And Everton pick up the loose ball again and come back at us and have a chance. And what a chance that is from Everton on the top of the penalty box. Gets it out from under his feet and then powers the shot, and the goalkeeper was taken by surprise, and we go 2-0 down, and now is the time that we have to do something about this. So as soon as this highlight has come to show us that right-footed shot, quite how he got it out of his feet there, I'm not sure. We're going to pause the game in a second and then do something about this. So we're going to go into the tactical page, and we're going to go straight into our gegenpress. And we're going to change a couple of personnel. And where have we got problems? We've got problems down the left-hand side and up top. So Loku Doku comes out, and Gouvet comes on, and Ide comes out, Monterese goes on. We're going to leave the third substitution till later in the game when we might need it. And then we're going to press play and immediately pause it again to go into the shouts and say push forward. And then we're going to send it into attacking rather than the positive that it normally is for this style of play. And just see if we can find a way in this second half now to really push ourselves onto Everton as a defensive line. And we haven't managed it. And now Everton are dominating the game. And we are in a lot of trouble all of a sudden. 3-1 down from another set piece. And it's a bit of a bane of our life. But no, the offside decision has been given. I think we're not fortunate in the sense of it definitely was offside, but it shows that we're really struggling at the back there to cope with Everton, and we've got to do better. The game has settled down a little bit, which is encouraging from our point of view, at least in terms of stifling their attacking prowess. But again, we're going to pause and go into the shouts and say get creative and just send them back out again, trying to find a way to unlock this defence. We've got 83 minutes on the clock. We've only got a couple of minutes left. Can we get one opportunity at the end of the game to get something from it? And the time is ticking, and it doesn't look like we're going to. And we didn't. And it was really disappointing after such a good start. We really struggled in the second half. The early part of the second half, they got a 3-minute double, and it just completely took the stuffing out of us completely. So you can see the shots on goal were pretty much similar. The shots on target were similar. The possession was similar. But they had that 3-minute spell just after half-time where maybe we came out and had switched off slightly. Well, definitely had switched off slightly. And it caused us no ends of problems. And they potentially could have got more than that. So I am going to aggressively say I'm far from pleased with that result. This is a team again in the relegation zone, remember, and again it's a little bit as a similar thing to what we've been struggling with Watford. Whenever we come up against a team that are right down the bottom, that are really fighting for their existence in the Premier League, we seem to struggle more than when we play some of the bigger boys. You see Noel picked up a knock for a couple of days, not too bad, but we might have to rest him for a game. Everton escaped the drop. I slammed the team as what's been reported in the papers, and you're right, I did, because it was necessary. What's it done to our league position? Well, we are still sitting 3 points behind Palace, who are in 7th. We're in 8th. So that's not too bad. But you can see that all of a sudden West Ham are currently 5 points behind, but they've got a game in hand, as have Fulham behind them. So it's beginning to squeeze up if we're not a little bit careful. And we do have to find a way to get some of these points over the next few games. And we're just about to start that hideous run. So things are going to be tricky over the next 6 weeks. What we're going to come back for, we are going to come back for the Leicester game. So we're going to play a couple of games off camera, and then we'll come back for the Leicester game, and then we'll probably come back for the Chelsea game, and then we'll finish off the season at Burnley. So those are the 3 episodes that I would imagine that we've got coming up. So join me for the next game, for the Leicester game, halfway through that really bad run of fixtures. We'll see whether we can pick up the points there. And we need to pick up a point or 2 against, 3 against Sheffield United before that run gets going. So I hope that that's going to be possible. Anyway, disappointing today, probably partly my fault in terms of decisions that I made and how I approached the game, but I desperately wanted to find a way to control this particular match against a side that I thought was really struggling, but you can see they've jumped from 19th all the way up to 13th, so the league is misleading at times, and it's putting people in the relegation zone at the wrong time. If you come up against them, you feel you've got a good chance, and actually they're doing better than maybe it suggests. But anyway, a few mistakes in there today, but we nonetheless have more games to come, so we've got to dust ourselves off and get on with it. So join me for the next episode for Leicester City, see how we get on there. Thanks for joining me today though. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and join my United City community. The more the merrier as far as I'm concerned. Click that like button on the episode if you enjoyed this series so far, and this particular episode helps me get seen by lots of other people, so that'd be really encouraging to me if you could do that for me. But until next time, take care of yourselves. I'll see you very soon. Bye for now.